He actually pivots pretty decent from there, but because his left hip's moved forward and he doesn't have enough trail wrist extension, he's a little steep. So he's going to be a little across that golf ball. I noticed that his setup, his butt is way too far back. If I drop a line off of his hip socket right here, straight down, his hip socket's significantly behind his ankles. Anytime I see that, I know that that's not going to stay that way when we make it dynamic. So as he starts to move, we're going to see how much that right hip moves forward. So instead of his right, or instead of how much his left hip moves forward, so instead of his right hip moving back, we have his left hip moving forward toward the ball. Okay? And then he's one of those that as he's approaching the top of his swing, he starts to flex his knees and sink into the ground. So, and he's got a lot of hip turn there, probably more than we really need. I do like the bends he's got, probably not enough trail wrist extension at the top of his backswing. So what's this going to do? This is the first time I've looked at this motion. He actually pivots pretty decent from there, but because his left hip's moved forward and he doesn't have enough trail wrist extension, he's a little steep. So he's going to be a little across that golf ball. And you can see how his knees look like they scissor a little too much. The right knee moves forward and the left knee moves back a little too much. He's actually doing pretty good to be able to manage that setup as well as he does. But that's the main thing I'm seeing is we fix the setup, get the hip joint a little bit more over the ankle, not so far back. Then he's going to be able to move better in the backswing. And we add in a little bit of trail wrist extension. Keep that right leg long. Don't let it start to sink too soon. And we're going to be golden. Let me flip over to his face-on motion. Now you can see as he starts back, here's one that we might widen their stance a little bit. This looks like a 7-iron, and his feet are more or less under his hips.
Ball position too far forward too.
Ball position's a hair forward.
Well, that plays in that, yeah. What needs to happen is his left foot needs to get kicked out a little bit, and then we talked a little bit about foot flare too.
Yeah, we could add a little bit of flare into the left foot. His right foot's a little more flared than his left one. So he shifts outside of his ankles a little bit, and then he does a pretty good job of recentering things back up. But he starts flexing into the ground a little sooner than I would want to see it happen. And moves pretty athletically. This pretty athletic motion here.
It's got some potential here.
Oh yeah.
Strong. Change a few setup issues, he might have one.
I think that the main thing I see here is just fixing that setup and getting the pelvis to move correctly in the backswing and get the wrist to move correctly in the backswing. And I think we'll be in business here. Because the sequencing of the motion, you can see that his hands and arms are still going up as his pelvis starts to fall and turn. There's a lot of good stuff here. We just need to fix a few structural things and this building will stand up nice. What else do you see, Ed?
That's exactly. About seeing the ball position and that initial sway off the ball, so that would be stopped by the wider stance. And you are correct. He does not have enough extension at the top of that, and he does not turn the doorknob.
Yeah.
But he almost can't do that.
Yeah.
Because of where his body's moved to.
And the sway that I would prefer to see, he sways his pelvis out from under his head a little too much. I'd prefer to see the upper body sway with the pelvis a little bit. If we widen the base out, this is going to look real good. So, let's widen that stance out. Let's get those hip sockets more over the top of the ankles. And I think we're going to be good.
If you go back to the top real quick on the face-on, watch how that left hip goes down and around when he starts his downswing. That's super good.
He's got there's a lot of great movements here. Just the
That's got so much potential. Oh my gosh.
Just the structure of that right there is just a little off. We need to build that structure a little bit better. Get that right leg lengthened out a little bit.
Yeah, get that club, that shaft maybe a little more in line with that left arm. So that center, there you go, it's back over there some amount.
But that's going to happen
now.
If that right wrist was extended, that shaft would be over there.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yep.
It all has to do with the structural, how we move the wrists and how we set up the pelvis so it can move properly. And then we're good.
He might be a good example as you go into transition in that face on. Watch how that left lat get engaged, that left scapula, that whole shoulder girdle. It's like stretching like mad across there.
It's good.
To create that speed up front, yep.
There's so much good here. It's just steep because of the structure he's got at the top and how his pelvis moved. We get that cleaned up and we're golden.
He said we talked about the trigger finger. He said that helped him with the wrist extension.
So a little bit of a grip change helped him with get more wrist extension.
Yeah. I think he was the one when I called you after I had seen a few people in a row with that grip issue. I think he was the one I videoed showing him like holding a knife.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Is he 10 finger in that thing? Oh no, he's got interlock. Yep. Just need to work that. That's all I really see. The dynamics of this motion are pretty good. We widen the base out a little bit. We get the hips under him a little bit more. He has nice bends.
Yeah. He kind of moves a little like Cameron Young, doesn't he?
A little bit. Just doesn't get the club shot out as much. Cool. That's all I see. I'm not gonna throw any more in there. That's pretty. It could be real good.